When it comes to opening of theme parks, Universal Studios Orlando has the worst luck. Universal Studios Florida opened on June 7, 1990, and while the park successfully garnered a large number of park guests, which included celebrities,
any stars today? Wink, wink. Yes, I have. I saw my wife.
Wow, that did not age well. None of the rides worked, and the ones that did barely functioned. So despite blueballing park guests, the park ended up becoming a massive success, allowing guests to ride the movies with the E.T. Adventure, Confrontation, and Back to the Future the Ride being on par with what Disney was doing at the time.
This is no ordinary theme park. It's a real working motion picture and television studio. And you're a star. Come to the only place on earth where everything that happens in the movies happens to you. Live the movies at Universal Studios Florida. No one makes believe like we do.
That success gave the Universal Orlando executives the confidence to start expanding this from a one-park experience to a full-blown resort, with a preview center being constructed in the New York section of Universal Studios Florida, showing off the first look at the new park in town, Universal's Islands of Adventure.
Welcome to Islands of Adventure, where the adventure comes alive every day.
Not only were they building a new park, but they'll also create City Walk, a shopping center and nightlife area, as well as the Lowe's Portofino Bay Hotel. With all these new additions being set to open in 1999, they could no longer call the park just Universal Studios Florida. You would think that the obvious choice will be the Universal Studios Orlando Resort, but they decided to go with a cute moniker that ended up confusing the hell out of everyone and sinking the park temporarily. This is the story of Universal Studios Escape Orlando, a marketing failure. Remember how I said that Universal Studios Orlando had the worst luck when it came to opening their theme parks? Let's talk about Islands of Adventure. Because Universal learned from their mistakes from the previous park, the rides went through extensive testing and had several soft openings to make sure that nothing went wrong, and for the most part, nothing went wrong. All the rides worked when they were supposed to when it opened on May 28, 1999.
Universal Studios Islands of Adventure.
From the far corners of the world, some fantastic journeys yet to be. As Universal Studios Islands of Adventure come to life before your eyes.
The problems came when 1. The park didn't see a lot of people or what they projected. 2. There were not a lot of kid-friendly rides, which would be remedied the following year with the opening of Storm Force Acceleratron in Marvel's Superhero Island and the Flying Unicorn in the Lost Continent.
Plus, in summer 2000, there will be 2 new rides, the Flying Unicorn Coaster in the Lost Continent and Storm Force in Marvel Superhero Island.
And worst of all, people were confused that this was the second park in the first place. You're probably wondering if they promoted the park as its own experience, and you've seen the title of this video. Let's see how they promoted the park.
What can I get you folks?
Green eggs and ham, please.
Come on, honey, I'm busy.
I like green eggs and ham.
Chloe, got any green eggs and ham?
Sold the last ones to the Cat in the Hat.
I'll have that.
A new universe of theme parks, resorts, and nightlife. Universal Studios Escape. Are you ready?
I mean, there was a commercial that directly stated that it was 2 parks, but due to the majority of the commercials not mentioning a distinction between the parks, the damage was already done. Universal executives estimated 6.8 million park guests to show up during its opening year, and it ended up being a whopping 3.4 million park guests. Not only were expectations not met, it even affected the attendance of Universal Studios Florida. There was a 9% drop from the park's attendance despite Universal Studios Florida opening Woody Woodpecker's Kid Zone, which boasted its first kid roller coaster. To add insult to injury, Disney's glorified zoo Animal Kingdom, which opened a year prior, garnered 6.4 million park guests, and Animal Kingdom's critical perception was significantly less positive than Islands of Adventure. Michael Eisner, the CEO of Disney at the time, claimed that the battle for Florida in regards to theme parks would end up with them cannibalizing each other, which led to this snide comment: "While there is cannibalization, it is slightly less than we expected. We're okay." This can mean many things, but it's safe to say that after going through Islands of Adventure and comparing attendance numbers, Eisner didn't see Universal as a threat, or at least to the point of cannibalizing in the theme park industry.
Hey! The new Universal Studios Islands of Adventure has an incredible way to enter for a chance to win a VIP vacation with Coca-Cola Classic or Jurassic Park, and go face-to-face with a T-Rex! Splash into the lagoon to meet all your favorite cartoon characters! The Lost Continent, the high-speed dual Tritheramist coaster! You get on that? Grab an ice-cold Coke at Coca-Cola displays to enter for a chance to win a VIP vacation to new Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. It's the perfect place to refresh with a Coke and to rocket the new heights of excitement. Islands of Adventure.
Not only were both parks not performing as well as expected, but Universal took a massive financial loss. In 1998, Universal Studios Florida made $37 million, and when they became a full-blown resort in 1999, they lost $98 million, and that loss lasted well onto June of 2000. This devastating financial loss led to the marketing being held as the main source of blame for the park's failure, to the point where a bunch of the marketing team left the company. This even led to criticism by the theme park industry as a whole, and some of the highlights are:
this is the third name for Universal in almost 3 years, and it's time to stop playing musical chairs. Hopefully, they will stick with this name for a long time. If they are going to change it again in another 3 years, they'll just create more confusion, states Abraham Pizam, a tourism professor at the University of Central Florida.
It's pretty clear to the people in the business, but in the mind of the consumer, it's a little unclear. Meryl Puckett, director of studio products for Orlando-based ShowQuest Studios. This led to an extensive damage control maneuver, with Universal spending $3 million on the aforementioned kids' rides to quell the complaint that Islands of Adventure is too thrill-focused. Then they unofficially changed the name of the resort to Universal Orlando Resort in some of the marketing, their contact information, and even on their company letterheads. But even that led to issues, because when they tried to buy the domain for www.universalorlando.net, they couldn't because it already belonged to a local Radisson hotel. That didn't really lead to anything, and Universal just used a .com address, but it goes to prove how important marketing is, and how it can make or break the thing you're trying to sell. This sentiment was shared by Universal spokesman Jim Canfield, and he went on to say,
"We have already seen the effectiveness of utilizing this concise and descriptive name that makes it easy for our guests and the travel industry to identify and understand us. It's a clear, simple, and distinct name," states Universal Studios spokesman Jim Canfield.
In February of 2000, the name was officially changed to Universal Orlando, and in July of that same year, all signs that said Universal Studios Escape were taken down and replaced with a sign that says Universal Orlando Resort.
2 amazing theme parks, non-stop nightlife, luxury resorts. It's all only at Universal Orlando. Orlando will never be the same.
Despite the logo changes over the years, the entrance to City Walk still has the Universal Orlando logo, which is the only thing left from this marketing disaster. Until recently. Recently, they moved the Universal Studios store to another part of City Walk and replaced the original store with the Universal Studios Legacy store. In that store, there's merchandise that celebrates the history of the park alongside actual props from legacy attractions. There's this screen that shows off old adverts, and when I went there last summer, they showed the brochure to Universal Studios Escape, which was really cool. Despite Universal Studios Escape being this stain in the history of the park itself didn't wipe it out completely, and now it's a part of the park's celebrated history. But that's the story of Universal Studios Escape, and how it was a marketing failure.
A new universe of theme parks, resorts, and nightlife. Universal Studios Escape. Are you ready?
Thank you all for watching. I'd like to give special thanks to Theme Park History, who helped me during the researching process, and I also like to thank my patrons, Leocrit, Hachi, and Retrowave for supporting the channel, and for $1 a month your name can show up right here. Love you guys, and shamalamamoomoo.